Have you received any benefits or special treatment on your career path because of being Jewish?
Not that I know of. I mean, I've never really identified as Jewish.
Right.
So, no, not that I know of.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, right now, and I have a lot of ambivalence and confusion about Kanye and what he has just come out and said. But in terms of his Jews run the media, is that your experience of it?
I mean, there certainly are a lot of powerful Jewish people in the media, in high positions in the media. Again, to translate that into Jews run the media, that's quite a leap.
Yeah.
There's a different feel to saying people who happen to be Jewish run the media, and saying Jews run the media.
Right.
You can feel a distinction there.
Totally.
So, when we look at the way the world is going and the appearance of coordinated evil, people kind of grasp for meaning. They're trying to make sense of it. And, you can see a pattern such as, well, there's certainly a lot of Jewish names, in the media or in politics or in finance, like people can weave a narrative, a sense-making narrative. Okay, it's the Jews who are controlling everything. And I think that this tendency is symptomatic of a generalized bewilderment and a loss of sense and meaning. So people grasp at all these theories, and because it's hard to explain, like how human beings can generally be so good and decent and kind and loving, and we are love. How could that be at the same time have such horror unfolding in the world? Like it's hard for us to understand that. So I mean, I don't like Kanye doesn't strike me as an especially hateful person. I don't think he's actually like hating anybody.
No.
He's trying to explain things to himself.
Right.
And I think that it's not a very good explanation. And I don't know. Yeah, that's what I think about it.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I've been following Kanye much more closely these past few years, and he doesn't strike me as hateful at all. And I know from our last conversation that I tend to be perhaps a little more open to conspiracy than you, but I just didn't buy it. I'm like, this doesn't sound right. And in the distinction that you made between a lot of people in media tend to be Jewish versus Jews run the media, like there's a vast difference between those two framings. And in the wake of woke culture, for everything, despicable about it, I think it has lent itself to people being more responsible in their languaging, right? Like I come from Los Angeles, we had an issue with gangs there. A lot of the gang members, the majority were Black, but no one ever said the problem is the Blacks. It was the problems are the gangs. But people don't seem to lend that same respect to the Jews. Like it's just so often we'll hear that it's the Jews, the Jews, the Jews, and where woke culture has taken to policing, languaging around other groups, it really hasn't translated to the Jews at all.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like Kanye should spend some time with some friendly Jews, and have some good meals with them, and enjoy their humor, and like a lot of this is just people dehumanize those who they don't understand and don't have a real connection to. Maybe he would, realize that the idea of Jews running the world, I mean, if it's true, then it's certainly not most Jews. Most Jews are just living their lives. And,
right.
And, it'd be similar to saying, like America runs the world. In a sense, it does, But that does that mean that every American is like a vicious imperialist? No, we're
Right.
just mostly normal people. It's very, very elite institutions that are not, in some sense, I mean, they're more globalist than American, even if many of them happen to be rooted here, that rule the world. It's
Right.
not, your average American. And if it is true that there's some connection between Jewishness and domination of elite institutions, it's not most Jewish people. We're just regular people. And but it's dangerous. These narratives that encourage us to see whole ethnicities otherwise. I mean, we've seen historically what happens.
Hey, superstars, thank you so much for sharing your sacred attention with me. If you are receiving any value whatsoever from my videos, I am encouraging you to give back, to pay it forward by supporting me on my Patreon community, on my locals community, on both. Your support allows me to keep on keeping on and to keep making content like this. It used to be much easier back in the days of a free press, but now, given all of the censorship and the shadow banning, it really is challenging for content creators to continue to put out so much work. I'll just speak for myself. I'm excited for it to be easier for me to continue to put out more content. And the primary way that it can be easier is by you supporting me financially by way of my Patreon and or my locals, where for as little as $5 a month, you get to be my hero and receive oodles of bonus content, and we both get to win. Okay, thank you so much for your support, for your attention, and for being omniscopic amazingness.